Oh, I feel like I'm right up in the face of whoever's in the change.
Is you're going to say that? Is that, can you look and see if that's everybody who's out in the, thanks. Okay. Okay, let's get rounded up here and get started. I think at some point my friends will join me up here on the stage. Hello, thank you for coming out to the David Clewell Visiting Writer Series at Webster University, where today we welcome playwright Crystal Skillman, who will come up to see you guys in just a minute. Crystal comes to us today from New York City, where she claims to be a Mets fan. I don't know why someone would say a thing like that, out loud. But anyway, she'll be here for a couple of days and maybe we can work on her misguided loyalties. I'm Murray Farish. I'm the Director of Creative Writing, in case you don't know me. And I just wanted to say a couple of brief and inadequate thank yous before we get started. So thank you to Zach Cromer for the technical expertise today. Thanks to Kate and Leo for getting us set up in the vestibule out there. Thanks to Karen Miller for pretty much everything else. Right? A deep and abiding thank you to our donors for their generous ongoing support of the series. I want to say thank you to the Sargent Conservatory of Theater Arts and to the Faculty Speakers Committee for co-sponsoring our reading today. I want to thank the Novel Neighbor, the official bookseller of the David Clewell Visiting Writer Series. They are here today. Their table is out there. They've got Crystal's books for sale. It is only March the 2nd. You have not spent your entire March book budget allowance yet. So go buy books and Crystal will sign them for you and it'll be cool. And of course, thank you to Crystal for joining us today on her first trip ever to St. Louis. I would also like to introduce and thank the faculty member who's been the most instrumental in making this visit happen, and that is our new playwright, Jess Shoemaker. Jess holds the MFA in directing from the University of Texas. She is a magna cum laude graduate of Webster University with a BFA in acting and a minor in English. That minor in English is really the important part of that whole thing. In addition to her teaching at Webster, Jess has taught at the University of Texas, at the Great River Shakespeare Festival, at Shakespeare St. Louis, and at Grand Street Theater. She has more than 24 directing credits to her resume, and she is also the author of the plays Anne Medea, Looking for Ithaca, The Book of Oprah, and 50 Shades of Shakespeare. That title doesn't even quite conjure, I think, enough for you what 50 Shades of Shakespeare is. So maybe you want to talk to Jess about that at some point. Also, Jess, by the way, is hard at work this semester reviving our student-driven one-act play festival, Surfacing. All right. So if you are a student and would like to get involved in that as an actor or as a director or as a stagehand or all of the above, I'm sure Jess would be able to find a spot or several spots for you. So see her after the reading today and she'll hook you up. All right. It's really wonderful to have Jess working with us here in the creative writing program and in the English department and in the conservatory. She's a remarkable teacher and a very talented teacher, and we're very happy to have her here. So she's going to tell you a little bit more about our special guest today. So please welcome Jess Shoemaker.
Hello, it is my pleasure to be introducing the wonderful and lovely Crystal Skillman. She is an award-winning playwright whose work has been selected 4 times as the New York Times Critics' Pick. Nailed it. Very big tongue twister. In addition to her work as a playwright, Crystal is also a fictional podcast writer and comic book author. Her work is darkly funny and high concept, packed with heart and edge. She is currently a professor at the New School, Athens State University, and a guest teaching artist for the Theater Development Fund and ESPA Primary Stages. Crystal is a core member of the Playwright Center. Her work has been seen and developed at Women's Project, MCC Theater, The Atlantic, The Civilian, Soho Rep, and Ensemble Studio Theater. Comic book and animation writing credits include Marvel, Webtoon Studios, Adventure Time, and the new series Cosmic Critters. Upcoming work includes her award-winning fictional podcast, The Magician's Magician, as well as a new play commission for The Rocket Men, and the American premieres of Mary and Max, the musical, and Rain and Zoe Save the World, which opens and closes this weekend right here at Webster University. Crystal's episodic audio play, King Kirby, can be enjoyed on the Broadway Podcast Network. And finally, today, we get to enjoy a reading from Crystal's plays Birthday and Open, both published by Samuel French and Concord Theatricals. And without further ado, I'm passing it over to Crystal Skillman.
Hello, I'm so happy to be here. So, originally we were thinking podium, and then we walked in and there was this table, and I don't know if you all know Spalding Gray, but immediately I was like, oh, that's got to stay, like the performing garage. I am not an actor. Look, I just loved all your faces. I'm a playwright. And so what that means is that we hide and we get very nervous. We can't hide as much anymore because something terrible has happened in the American theater, but also kind of amazing. But our photos are in the program. So we can't really hide anymore. And we have something called the old internet. So it's a little different. But this means that you have to, listen to me, a writer, speak words that are a play. So it's very meta and exciting. But I hope you will enjoy yourself. Feel free to dial me if you want to. If the mic goes out, if you can't hear me, if you're like, she's talking so fast, I have no idea what she's talking about. Feel free to shout things at me and I will adjust. This is informal. Have fun, let yourself react. I wanted to open today with a monologue I wrote from Birthday. It's probably the first play of mine. And you'll see out there's a few plays. So I'll just say in a nutshell, in case you want to spend your US American dollars. Cut is about 3 reality TV show writers. If you were cynical, it's written like with a reality TV show structure. If you're cynical about the world, that is the play for you. The other plays are Birthday and Nobody. You're going to hear a little bit of Birthday here. Also Open, which you're going to hear a little bit of. And also my play Wild, which I'll talk a little bit about how that influenced Open. So this character that we're going to hear from is Lila. Lila is probably the most like me. And I think it kind of clicked in this play Birthday, which is between 2 people in the back of a bar, Lila and Kyle. It was actually staged originally site specifically on the Lower East Side. And people were just really into it. And then it got published and was exciting. So here's Lila. She has entered the room crying aggressively and is a mess. And next door, we can hear that there's a thriving party going on that we hear a little bit more about. Okay, so I'm going to move all over the place. And I also narrate to myself. I also talk to myself. I was an only child, so I was my best friend. You like your stout. I never know what to get here. I got mine because of the name, Old Speckled Hen. I think because I'm obsessed with farms. All that driving through fields and passing barns all the time when I was a kid. I did 4-H in that, but I was shit at it. Animals kind of hate me, actually, I think. I was like in high school coming back from some Thanksgiving thing with my parents, and there was like this horse in the middle of the road, no one else around. And instead of, calling someone, my mom was like, we have to help it. Now, this horse is like the size of an elephant. It's huge to me. And somehow my mom's shrill voice, which would probably make me run into ongoing traffic, seems to be coaxing the horse over to the park. I'm just following behind, my head low, like, please God, don't let anyone see my dumb ass mom talking to a horse on Sheaf Road. But we do get him off the road. It's like a miracle. It worked. And then I'm like, I feel something for this horse we saved. His eyes are gleaming and it seems like there's a connection, and I want to touch him. I take like one step and he rears up. It's like unreal. The setting sun behind, blinding off the snow. And thank God I totally remembered how in Gandhi, Ben Kingsley threw his bony ass to the ground to save everyone from these charging horses. And it works. The horse settles, trots towards the barn. When we get home and I go to the bathroom, and I don't know how, but somehow when it raised up, the horse totally grazed me. And there's like a cut on it's like a cut right here on my breast. I mean, I'm like, kill me now. I tell my mom and she's calling the doctor. And she's like, I know it's Thanksgiving, but I'm calling because my daughter got bitten on her breast by a horse. And later I thought, of course this happened. Because anytime you try too hard, reach out, help. This is what happens. You get, I'm telling you all the good stuff. Classic tit chomping horse stories. Christ, do you know that I recount my life to homeless people on the street? I go to the tops of towers and scream out my life. MTA guys, waitresses, cab drivers, they try to tell me their shit, but I cut them off and tell them what happened to me. Fuck. I'm gonna shut up now. I'm shutting up now. I really should. You see all the decorations? My decorations? When they sent me out to get shit, they had specific requests. Like little fucking flowers and happy faces, pink and yellow balloons, a red happy birthday banner, and Dwayne Reed staring at aisles of this stuff. What would Joan like? She's not a friend. I mean, I like to tell you she's a quiet girl. I mean, shy, like a spinster in one of those movies, like Sewing and Waiting, like the heiress and it's raining and she goes out to meet him and everyone's like, wait, your big dress is going to get rained on. And she goes out and looks like shit, but she doesn't care. And well, it's spring, so she has a shit ton of kids. I don't really know her, but the truth is Joan eats all the bagels on Bagel Fridays. That's the end of that excerpt. In the play, if you get it, and I unfortunately or fortunately do believe in spoilers. So if you don't want it spoiled, cover your ears. But it turns out it's Lila's birthday and she's turning 30. She's really having a hard time of it. So this friendship between her and Kyle forms. It's really a moving piece. It's a 2-person play. Great. So I'm going to read next from my play, Open. And I'm even going to try a little choreography. I'll explain it to you. Open, right here, it looks like this for sale in the lobby. It doesn't have the I voted sticker, but when you vote, you can add a sticker to yours. So it originally ran in New York and it featured actress Megan Hill, and that was 2019. Since that time, it's won and been nominated for several awards, including an Offie in the Edinburgh Fringe. And most recently, the play was awarded a Mid-Atlantic Arts grant to go to tour in Italy. The play was produced there by Onstage Festival at 4 cities in Italy, including Rome. It was really wild and beautiful. And because of what's happening in Italy right now with rising fascism, it really brought home how important the play is, and you'll see what I mean. That tour featured Lily Ali Oshutz. The play is meant to be formed by a female identifying actress. I am not Megan Hill and I'm not Lily, but you have me today. And the magician, the way the play starts, you meet a magician on stage, and the magician we meet, eyes closed, saying, I'm here, I'm here. I'm here, seeing the imagined audience, my mind, just like you're sitting right there. She begins to perform magic tricks for us. And the way it happens is that it might be like, look at my hat. I'm going to pull flowers out of the hat. You see it, right? Ooh, you don't see it. I have to make you believe it. So she shares magic is when what we imagine becomes real. And slowly we start to hear the effects of magic as she performs these tricks. So an example of that would be, where's Jess here? Yeah. Oh, so yep, I've got, if I'm juggling, okay, and I'm not an actor, so I would have practiced with a magician and even, right? Got me? Okay. Great. So that would be rewarded by a sound effect. Does that make sense? So, and other little things happen the more the audience is invested in these tricks. We learn that the magician is actually a queer YA writer, but is not fully open about her sexual identity. As she performs these acts, we realize she's performing this magic show, not just for us, the imagined audience in her mind, but her partner, Jenny. And the stakes are high. Hey, here we go. So I'm going to do a few tricks for you. First is cards. A deck of cards. My dad taught me these card tricks. Ooh, this is how they do shuffling in Asia. Isn't that neat? I've been doing it all night. Shuffling is a classic way of waiting. People who wait do a million things. They tap their song to a foot they remember. They wish they were somewhere else. They click through the channels. They go through the motions. 828 Broadway, the Strand Bookstore, 10 p.m. Struggling writers work odd hours. We are freelancers. In the basement, aisle A3, a cult is a lonely place. Alien abductions, God and myth, the rapture, Loch Ness, creatures from beyond, creatures under your bed, sexy creatures in your bed. We'd never seen each other if I hadn't reached too far. Right through the book. In what was just thick spines, there is now an opening. I look through. I see her through the opening. What's it for? Just some research. I sound like an idiot. I am an idiot. She hands me back the book. We touch. Oh, do you remember that? Our first touch when a night was a night of possibilities. That night, I run out of the bookstore onto 13th Street and I open my book, The Magic of Magic, A History of Magic, to find a piece of paper sticking up out of my book, a note. Her name and number, Jenny. Jenny. I look up at the lights and into every window and see every lover. There are lovers in this city. Beginning, ending, running. The ink bled in my hand as I ran. Do you know I ran? I ran and no one could catch me. The lady in the heels I bumped who shouted out. The old man shivering. The teenagers turning the corner, screaming and jumping and laughing. The man up against the woman against the red brick. My city. How I flew home. Back in the day. Her number, 718-624-519. 3 of diamonds. She picks up. Hello? Jenny, it's Kristen from 5 years ago. She picks the place. Marie's Crisis. Karaoke and drink. It's on the 1st of December and it looks like Christmas threw up in here. Silence. This date is doomed. I take out my cards. Shuffle. Her eyes light up. Nothing skeptical in Jenny's eyes, just pure. What was the book for? Your research. I'm training to be a magician. That's what my research is for. Do you like card tricks? Don't fail me now, Dad. Pick a card. She does. Show me the card. She doesn't. Give it back. She leans in. You're a liar. What? The book, your research, the copy place on 5th. Oh, fuck. You work there. I recognize you. We copy there. I saw your name on all the piles of pages that you copy on the side. You're a writer. You write stories. Yes. About what? It's some fantasy. Title? The Magician's Magician. It's about a teenager, creates a guide of sorts in his mind, discovers the magic he thinks he can do is real, falls in love, faces his worst fears. Oh, who's he fall in love with? Another boy? I like it. Tell me the first line. Oh, God. Come on. I trust her. I do. Okay, this is the first line of my book. Magician, are you a coward? Don't you want to live? She just walks out. Who does that? I can barely make my way out past the bar, past the first lines of all the pickups. Aren't you? Didn't I just see you? Don't you love? On the street, she's gone. I turn to go when I hear, Magician, are you a coward? Don't you want to live? Jenny returns. Here's your research, piling books up in my arms, magic book after magic book, her own. Stories of old legends, tricks. She's written her name in all of them. These are the books of someone who does nothing but believe in something. I don't know what to. I live upstairs, but karaoke? I don't care. Do you? Come with me.
I stand frozen. Jenny turns, her bag falls, a mirror tumbles out. I try to catch it for her, but it hits the ground, breaks. I hold it up. I see my face. Am I afraid? I see her eyes. No, I'm not. I'm not afraid. Jenny takes the playing card, the one she stole, places it against my forehead. I have no idea doing. I have no skill at this, but I know. Somehow I know. All the cards melt in my mind, gone save one. Your choice, hers. 3 of diamonds. The first night, Jenny asked me, "You ever been in love?" How do you show the world who you love? Walking down the street, are you aware of the things that they shout, but they don't call your name? They call you other things, shouting at your 15-year-old self, holding hands with your girlfriend, fucking dykes. You think in Minneapolis, so you moved to New York, go to school, Columbia, but you hear, I don't care, gay, trans, whatever, just don't show it to me. And you see the flyers they put on cars in Hell's Kitchen? I'll fucking kill you. This city, my city, the flowers and candles and pictures they're put up at Stonewall whenever violence happens, and it keeps happening. Getting on the subway, stepping off the elevator, look down, but don't look down, hold hands, don't hold hands. Of course, be you, but Jenny, second date, Santa Land at Macy's. Jenny wants hot cocoa and look at all the decorations. Jenny wants to walk in the freezing cold and go window to window and look at all the little robots and their displays, which are really just animated doll commercials. She wants to get to know each other better. I work at the copy place and write. Jenny assists at a lawyer's office and volunteers in the Y in her spare time. If we can change, the world can change bit by bit. You mean magic? Kiss. After the election, I can barely get out of bed, but Jenny, she gets me there. I talk at the Y, an expert on civil rights, gay rights. They talk about how even in these uncertain times, we are on a new precipice. We can see where we've come from and where we're going. Don't be afraid. Fight, believe. I want to believe. Jenny believes in progress. We are progressing. Jenny goes to protest. Jenny loves lights and decorations and magic. How can I not? How can I not see the world through her eyes? Her eyes flutter, close, and open. There were 3 of them last night. I'm sorry, I'm having some trouble. I really need a moment. I could barely see her between the bruises. The way I told her it's okay. I'm looking for her in between what they've done, between the cuts, between what's broken. I tell her I need to know if you're there. I ask her if she can breathe on the count of 3. Can we together breathe? 1, 2, 3, breathe. They wheel Jenny in. They ask me to stay outside, wait in the hallway. Rope tricks.
Rope tricks are classic, but the original Indian rope trick was a 19th century legend. I read it in one of Jenny's books. Used it in my book, The Magician's Magician, my story about the 2 boys who fall in love and are obsessed with the Indian rope trick. According to this legend, the magician's assistant would climb up a rope and disappear into the clouds. The magician would shout after him, "Come back. If you don't come back, I'll cut you as I would this rope." The magician would grab a sword and climb after the boy. Body parts would fall from the sky into a basket. The magician would come back down, and suddenly the boy would rise out of the basket whole. My rope trick? 1 rope, fold in the middle and cut. Now 2 ropes, tie them in a knot. In my book, 2 boys would spend time together, sleepovers. They'd create a world in their own minds, safe from the real world. They would make their own rules. They would take each other apart and put each other back together again. They were safe and blow. The knot moves, and once again, it is 1 rope. Ta-da! Applause. Whole, healed. Last night, the minute they rushed her in on the stretcher, rushing down the hall, rusty wheels moving, turning, the doctor, she looks kind. She looks kind and sad. Prepare yourself, she tells me. Prepare for what? She's going to make it. My phone, Delaware. I don't know how they got my number. Jenny must have given it to them. Her mother. What did you do? What happened? What happened? I couldn't speak. What did you do? What did you do to my daughter? What did you do to Jenny? Breathe. You are not allowed to see her again. Do you understand? Her father and I do not want to see you. You are not allowed to see her in her room. Do you understand? You are not allowed to see her again. Breathe. I see you. I'll kill you. Wait, wait, wait. Do I dare go in? Down the hall, the front desk, the nurses look to me. Do I dare go into Jenny's room? Am I a coward? Ladies and gentlemen, the magician's tightrope. According to ye old Wikipedia, tightrope is the art of maintaining balance while walking on a tension point between 2 points. I must stay on the tightrope, which no matter what is thrown my way. The door to Jenny on one side, me on the other, I must cross. I must open. 1 foot follows. Oh, I forgot to mention. On one side, rising water, oceans. On the other side, crocodiles, pirates, possibly. On the other side, blazing fire, lava, either side, death. Do not drop down. Good to see you, little magician, my dad. Christ, not now. Good to see you, little magician. Want to see a trick? My father would drop down. That's what you do to a 10-year-old. You drop down to their level when you're talking to them as if you're turning 10. That's not magic. That's regression. What's in your ear? Nickels. Why is that impressive? Who the hell can buy anything with a fucking nickel? But my father would raise it in the air. Something was born out of nothing. He was an amateur at so many things, but he tried. He cared. Through magic, he told me, can only be done with the belief of others. I still believe that. I still honestly believe. My father caught me crying once. Some girl in high school didn't look my way. I tried to hide it, but my father knew. What he didn't know, he dropped down. He sat next to me. Kristen, it's your life. You're going to live it the way you want to. Just don't tell your mother. It'll kill her. Secrets are the balls we keep in the air. That black cloud of a ball, the promise, descends so slow, I'm losing my balance. To the left of me, my mother. The waters rise to the right of me, Jenny's mother. The fire burns, and above me, my promise, the truth. It promises to crush me, the magician. I fight back. Things I love about Jenny, the way she sits cross-legged on the couch, her love of 70s music, her hatred of Target, her jokes, her hair, her eyes. Do not look down. Days passed into weeks. Christmas Eve, I piss Jenny off. Some guy at Bleecker Bar asks if she's my girlfriend. I hesitate. I don't know what to say. You always do this. You don't know what to say now, Kristen. You never will. I'm about to lose her. So I sneak into her building outside 4E. I ready my iPhone. I hit play. Jenny, I've got your number. I'm gonna make you mine. All that I want is a photograph of photo Jenny. Jenny, Jenny, oh, Jenny, Jenny. Jenny's door opens. Her neighbor comes out shouting, "What's this say anything shit?" Me proudly, "Hey, I'm here to spend the night with my girlfriend." I am staying the night, right? Don't pretend I'm not. You want to leave, Kristen? You can. Okay, no. Don't disappoint me. I won't. Love me night by night. No one can believe in forever. I will, Jenny. I spill out. I will love you night by night. Promise me we will always be open with who we are. I promise. Your magician will never lie. Come here, I want to show you something. She steps out. I gesture magically. Bright, colorful lights flood the stairwell. They're just cheap Christmas lights. But Jenny cries. She weeps as if they're real magic, as if it is. She says, I'm beautiful. I am. End of the tightrope. I made it. Applause. Cheers. I'm standing here in front of Jenny's door. Jenny says, turn off the radio. Jenny says, turn off the light. Jenny says, can't open the door. The nurses watch. I can't. I put on my coat down the hall, opposite direction. I can't stay here. I have to get out. Your magician will never lie. My promise. Act 2, commitment. When has that word, commitment, ever brought lovers together?
My mother came home in a new dress to meet my father like she did every Friday for their date night, came home to an empty house, an envelope of cash, and a note. It's not working. I met someone. I'm sorry. My father's note to me, a post-it on my pillow. Kristen, I love you. I'll always love you. After that day, my mother, she breathed, she moved, she walked, but can someone live but not be alive? Your father left. I know. You know why? No. And there is silence, but in it I hear, you know. How dare she? She says nothing, leaves it unsaid. She never even talked to me about it, refused. She will never know the real me I hide inside me. I could never be open with her. She would never be capable of accepting, and I would never expect what? Some magic words of love? A blessing? Outside in the parking lot, wind, air. This is levitation. I float, no longer bound by gravity. To stay up, I must leave the past behind me. Come up with me into the night air, the stars. There, that constellation, that's you as a child and me. Everyone we know. Charlie, our bird, is here flying with us. Squawk, go higher, higher. Galaxies within galaxies. I see the houses, the clouds above them, only they aren't clouds. They're conversations. Conversations stay. I must stay up. I must keep my concentration, but I see our first apartment just moved in. Did you tell your mom our new address? Have you ever told her about me? And your parents love me so much. They just need to get to know you better. They're supportive from the moment you told them it's different. Well, I'm an only child, so they've got to love me. I'm all they got. Well, I was a mistake. How's the book going? I met that agent. He says, if I rewrite the last chapter, there's potential, potential, potential. Hey, as long as you create, you have an audience. Who? Me. I wake up that first night in our apartment and find Jenny in the kitchen. She can't sleep. A dream. She tells me she was searching the city for me. She was looking and looking for me. Did you find me? I guess I was somewhere watching you. Jenny's home over Delaware, that conversation cloud, her family 2 years ago. We visit them. Are you hungry? I hope you're hungry. They're going to cook steak and asparagus. She was open always with them. At dinner, I let Jenny do the talking. She tells her the story of how we met, but still the way they look at me, skeptical. Is this really the one for our daughter? How can I show them? What gifts can I give? What spells can I cast? Later that night, her parents asleep, Jenny wakes me. Let's go to my cousin's house. We pull into the driveway, walk into the kitchen, and my God, there are cakes on top of cakes and cupcakes and coffee brewing at 11 o'clock. Her aunt and uncle, you found us okay. His smile, her smile, their kids, the way they introduced me, the soon to be famous writer. I tell them the story of how we met. Jenny's aunt. My God, Roger, just look at them. They are, is there any talk of getting hitched? Jenny takes my hand, which smells like frosting. My pockets are filled with mini cupcakes. We float out on our happiness. We were driving home the next day. I have to get home. I have to finish the last chapter, The Magician's Magician. What do you have to do in the rewrite? I don't tell her. She won't like it. In the original, the boys end up together. It's a fantasy, actually. They fly away. It asks for a suspension of disbelief. It asks for the power of the imagination. And the agent thinks it needs to be more real. I can do that. I can make it real. Maybe they grow up and forget each other. Maybe it doesn't resolve. Maybe Jenny wants to enjoy the drive. She is talking about family of our own, as if we could, a family, us, mothers. It's the first time she brings it up. My mind goes hot and cold. My mother, I don't call her, never call her, but Jenny tells her parents everything, even if they don't understand. Words said and unsaid to Jenny. It bothers you. I told close friends. I didn't tell co-workers. I didn't feel the need to. No, I didn't deny. I didn't flaunt. I just would never, to be safe in a world of you and I, to create what our space is, what we feel comfortable with. And yes, there are so many wonderful people in the city that loves us, but in the world, there are worlds where you eat steak and asparagus. You look down, there are driveways where you are hugged and you take home cupcakes. There are smiles, there are glares, there are nothings, there are somethings, there are, you were never cautious. And you never looked about you. And I am aware of the danger, even a city that loves you. Even a city that cradles you. Jenny, we're way above the city now. You want me to show you something? It's very special. It's what keeps me going. There. That's you and I. Do you see? There in the park. It's us. But look, our faces,
10 years older, 20, 30, we join hands, we smile. And even though there is so much more upon us, we still walk lightly, we laugh. And when we touch, it is the deep touch of knowing who we are becoming. You and I, this is the future. This is what I dream of. The act of transformation. I see myself and I'm no longer frightened. I no longer think frightened thoughts of the world. That's magic. And this is magic. He's sharing with you. End of excerpt. How are we doing on time? Yeah. Do you want a little freebie, a little extra, little gem? Okay. Okay, this takes a lot of visualization. This is from a play of mine that's done a lot in high school. So maybe one of you did it when you were younger. Maybe. It's a play called Geek. It was produced by the same company, by Qui Gwen's company. Qui Gwen is the author of She Kills Monsters, and it ran in the same season. And so this, I'm also a comic book author, as you know. And so before that, even I was a booth babe working booths. So I fell deeply in love with the Comic-Con and geek culture because that's my people. Look at me. So I especially fell in love with cosplayers, and there was just an intimacy, a beauty, and you could be anything, and you could cross dress, and you could be whoever you wanted to be in a different character. And I just loved all of it so much. And I loved how heroic it was. So at this moment in the story, we've actually been following in a hero's journey like way. The character of Honey, she's 13 and she's with Danya, who's older, and they want to see Samagashi. Samagashi is the author of their favorite anime. And what's revealed is that they're carrying a video of videos they made of themselves cosplaying as these characters with Honey's sister. We've discovered that Honey's sister committed suicide recently. So this journey to see Samagashi in the last, at this point, we're like the last 15 minutes before the con's going to close. It's structured like Dante's Inferno. So there are 9 floors to this Comic-Con, and there's a lot of obstacles. At this point, Honey has said, been upset by Danya and her forceful nature, and has made a new friend. His name is Squeaker. Squeaker is a cosplayer who is dressed in a kind of big fuzzy Pac-Man like ball outfit with eyes that move and like a long tongue. And you can design him many ways. He's like a huge person puppet. He is a person, but he never takes his costume off. So she's never seen, she doesn't know who's cosplaying as Squeaker. This whole world of everything they're cosplaying is called Dante's Fire. So it's a fake anime that I wrote that they're cosplaying as. And you'll learn a little bit more of Squeaker. He's kind of like the obviously Fizzgig, older reference of Dark Crystal, or the little animal character. And Honey is a navigator kind of type. So she's got goggles. She's got a cool, you'll see on the cover out there, kind of cool little yellow dress and, ready to rock and roll. And Dante is what Danya is cosplaying as, with her sword of fire. There's a lot going on. So this is one of my favorite monologues. So it's going to be really fun to read and to pretend I can act. Here we go. We got my bag back. Yes. Oh, whoever you are, you're the greatest. Squeak, 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 squeak. You're right. When I am Bergie, I am the best. I am a trusty right-hand gal and guide who knows everything and where she's going, is so confident and cool. Right? Right. Well, thanks again. I bet you have to go. This place closes in like 20 minutes. I can't imagine you want to spend your last few minutes with a stranger. Squeak. Most people think your character Squeaker was put in Dante's Fire TV show to use as exposition so my character Bergie could spill her guts out when everything went wrong. And man, why is everything going so wrong? We got what we wanted, and I totally can make it to Samagashi now on my own, and I know I can, but I don't know what to do. I know this isn't your problem, and you aren't going to take your costume off, are you? You're going to keep playing. Because obviously you spend a lot of time on that costume. You even got a spy looking super far away hearing device in there because that's Squeaker's skill. Okay. Squeaker, I've been pretty mad lately. And now I've got what we made. We put together all these videos with my sister and Donnie and I. We've been working on for so long. It's all we love, all our moments with all the Samagashi characters we love. It's what we wanted to show Samagashi. That was the plan until it's really messed up and I don't have anyone to talk to. I just need someone to listen. My sister and I came home from the park after the worst day we'd ever had. I was crying. She didn't cry. She took off her Cleo armor, her jacket. She sat there in her jeans and t-shirt in front of the mirror. Leave me alone, honey. I was pissed. She wouldn't talk to me. I slammed the door. That was the last time I saw. A week ago, my sister died. She chose to. And we chose to come here like it's some kind of quest. Like if we meet Samagashi, like that would change anything. But what we did make is important. And whatever choice I make now, I make it on my own. Squeak! And I'm not anything like Vergie, but it's making me who I want to be. And who cares if I get laughed at for liking the coolest kid in school? Squeak, squeak. Like, that's gonna work. Being in love with Bobby Braden. I know there's no way the cutest guy in school would ever be into me, but Squeaker, you're kissing me and licking me. Well, I know you love me, Squeaker. I raised you from an egg on the planet of Glock. Squeak, squeak. What's wrong? Squeak, squeak. Your super hearing device? You heard something? Donnie's in trouble. She's calling for me. She needs me. Oh, I have to choose. Not what Vergie will do, but me. We have to go. We have to help her. Let's go. And they race off. That's the little extra gem. Thanks for sticking around.
All right, so now we're going to move into a Q&A portion of our event. While you're all devising your questions, I'm going to take this moment to remind you that Novel Neighbor is outside selling Crystal's work, and Crystal will be signing her work on the way out.
You are also welcome to pick up the books and read them. Okay, even if you don't buy, we say this at the booth. Check it out. It's okay.
All right, any questions? I'll bring the mic around.
I thought I was gonna be the first one. Hey, let's go. Seriously.
Do you have a question?
Well, I just want to say you're fantastic, and that the magician, that literally, it's not like I've been to that, but I've been to that whole meeting somebody for the first time, and they're called you all, but like and then being in a situation where you're being blamed for your girlfriend get hurt or your partner, and you're not allowed to go back there, and their parents are just blaming you. My kid's blaming me, and it's like by the way, my last name's Baker.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's just awesome. Now I'm all emotional. You're back there. Yeah, but thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing and being, and this is the whole dark things come out of theater and things that we're exploring, but it helps us because we're together. You see, we're together right now.
There's the part about the tightrope. The whole, you don't know if relationship's what's going on with it. You're like, do I touch her or do I not touch her? Do I call? Do I not call? The whole hesitant of being on tightrope. And then finally get over that, and then it's sigh of relief. It's the feeling. You literally wrote out the whole feeling. Like it's.
Well, I've got a question maybe to get us started a little bit. When thank you. When you said you're not an actor, but you're a very good actor. And I'm wondering, as you're writing your stuff, how much do you read out loud? How much do you sort of see the performance as you're writing your plays? Like, is that, or what stage do you start to do that?
Yeah. And well, something that usually happens is I have a concept with a huge question I want to unpack. And in the case of Open, two things were happening. There's a play called Wild Out There about the relationship of Peter and Bobby, and it's a piece I really love. And I was in the lobby, and this was like maybe like 7-ish, 8-ish years ago. And someone came up to me and they said, "That's so great. You made this relationship. Like, I really believed it. I really believed that Peter and Bobby, you know, would be together." And I was like, "Do you not think something like that can normally happen?" And it was just so, this was an older producer type. And I was just really like dismayed by this comment, that I had made it seem like Bobby and Peter could be married like any couple. And I was really appalled. And that was sticking with me. Trump was elected, and the magician came to me mentally, like in my mind, and started speaking the first half of the play. And I started writing that down. That usually doesn't happen. I have more of a concept I try to unpack. And I think a lot of what I wanted to do, especially because there was a male heavy cast with Wild, I really wanted to explore, two women going through this and that world, and speak to what was happening now. So, it's something where I work through the beats as an actor a little bit. So I'm working through the moments that happen, but the first part comes as a kind of writer and visual artist, because I trained as a photographer at Parsons School of Design, and I started making these like big installations. And I was like, "I think you're a playwright because you're writing all these scripts with it too." I was like, "No, I don't know." And then so the thing that I learned in Birthday that you heard for the first time is I was kind of coming at the audience in my early plays a lot. And I wasn't doing the beats for actors. So my work is always dense. Aurora knows this. My goal is to cram as much as there possible, to have different layers. But it was super dense. Like it's like, I don't know if the audience should be here. It's, it's like how do I get into this Hellraiser box? I don't know. And so because we were doing it site specifically, I had my actors, and we had a crazy deadline that I said yes to, which I often do. And they were saying, "Why do I say the next line? Like, why do I do the next thing? Like, why?" And I was like, "Actor, do things now, please." And I was like, "Oh, shoot, this has to make sense." And so I think once I started doing that, and now I do beat through. So now I have the concept, and I allow myself to write plays that have visual catharsis in the hands of people that are not like Aurora. They're like, "This should be a film," and it should. But also, like, if you love Indecent, like now that's a known thing. So you read that play, but you're not going to tell them or the creators of Fun Home or, "Oh no, this is just a movie," right? If multiple things are happening on stage at the same time, if there is visual catharsis as well as language, that's exciting to me. So I never know how to do it. That's what I work with my director on, but I know the why. And I know that sometimes we speak and sometimes things need to be seen. And so that's what I'm always looking for. So it's fun to read out loud because you get to imagine those visuals and how they happen.
I just wanted to say, first of all, it was so fun to hear Open out loud. I read Open in a Webster class actually a few years ago for our playwriting class, and I loved it. But my question was more specific to comic books. Comic book writing is a field that I'm really interested in. I've been a lifelong comic book fan and graphic novel fan. And so, like, if you can kind of speak on what the process is of writing and outlining, and also just how you kind of get into that, how you start writing comic books, because it feels so foreign to me.
It's wonderful. I have some great resources for you. So my partner, husband, Fred Van Lente, I met him very, very young and at a Parsons School of Design. And, he never wrote a play and I never wrote a comic book. And then at some point we both did both in the past 10 years and we both frightened each other. Like, "Don't come to my world." It's like, "I'm in your world." So he has incredible resources, and that's really how I started. Cause he's in my house, so I could just barge in and be like, split comic books now. So if you go to fredvanlente.com, or if you just Google that, and I can give you that, he has on his site how he formats comic book scripts. He also has a book called Make Comics Like the Pros, written with Greg Pak, who also wrote for Hercules. They did Hercules together. He also wrote for Hulk, and they really explain things in a beautiful way. Make Comics Like the Pros. They actually do a comic in the comic, so they're teaching you comic book writing through comics, and it's really cool. And I thought, and that it is really informative. Also, he has a class on domestica, which is really neat. So when I teach out, I teach there. The first thing I do is, and I think this is helpful, especially if those like the storyboard or a visual or directors even, it's helpful, is to just do a daily. And so just do 4 panels, you know? And so like, there's like a little the daily I love called like the heart and the brain, right? And it's a heart and a brain. You know, you start with something like, you know, with 2 opposing characters, like Pinky and the brain, or, you know, the heart and the brain, or, you know, and, you know, and then just how do you tell a story in the beats of 4 panels? And so now you don't even worry about writing it first, right? Like one of my favorite ones is just this rabbit staring at a flower for the first 3 panels. And then the last one is like, fuck, you're beautiful. Like the rabbit, and I'm just like, it gets me every time. I'm like, I love that. So, you know, just let yourself dream a little. But when you come back to the page, each page says, well, it may take more than 2 pages depending, but you do page 1 and then you write what's in each panel. It's very similar to playwriting. So we do have a rich history of playwrights also writing for theater. And you'll notice many comics get made into musicals. So we have Annie, we have Little Abner. Anybody knows that older show? There's even Superman the musical, whose book has been rewritten by the Riverdale showrunner. So I mean, there's so much going on, but like Jules Pfeiffer is huge. Yeah. So that's easy because that's the dialogue, right? But when you describe what's happening in each panel, I think with the challenge, which is exciting, is that you are describing something in motion, but it's not moving. So my first comic book that I wrote, so when I started on Eat Fighter, we have a series called Eat Fighter on Webtoon, but you know, we were toggling the comics. And the first time I think I gave my script back to Fred, he was like, this is impossible. I'd written it like a Looney Tune, like this is happening here. It was like so Scott Pilgrim, like this one moment with the fight with the robot. And there was like 5,000 things happening. And you'll find this in screenplay writing too, like, you know, or if you're pitching an idea, right? If you're talking about your idea and it's like, and then there's the water bottle, and then there's the phone, and then there's the book, right? What's the story? Like we can't, you know, the water bottle is almost empty, but it spills onto the phone. As a result of spilling onto the phone ended up taking a photo of my play. As a result of doing that, a famous celebrity retweeted it, and now I'm super famous, right? That's a story because there's cause and effect, right? So if you it's a long way of saying, if you pack too much into a panel, we can't follow the story, right? And the artist can't draw. So there's like little things like that. But those are some resources for you to start. You can start by drawing or by writing. The Marvel style, which is how Stan Lee ripped everyone off, is that you draw and then you hand it over to the comic book artist, and they have to draw. You do a treatment and you have the artist draw it. But real writers break it up into panels.
We had a question. We had a question over here.
But I just want to ask, playing off of that, how do you use the gutter? Right.
Use the
Gutter.
Oh, that's a great question. It's a great thing to think in playwriting too, like meaning like what's happened off stage, what's your 5 minutes before, what's in between. So you can also think of, and so now I'm going to go, Will Eisner was really kind of began this in terms of how, I don't know, began, but it just is a pivotal moment. You'll notice this in Watchmen as well, when you go like how the panels are used for time and feelings, right? So if we're zooming in on an eye and it's blinking and the panels are getting more slender, we're getting nervous. If we're seeing someone sweat, everything's getting packed in. But if it becomes more broader, like a splash page, right, that's suddenly maybe an action sequence. So the gutters and the panels are helping dictate the emotions of the characters, the way the story is moving. And it's if you a perfect example, Scott McCloud's Understanding Comics. We've got it's just how 2 images placed side by side have sequential action. So if I have, you know, a man like this with a hat, and then the next panel is like, I'm doing this, then you understand, right, that I took my hat off, but you don't have to see in animation. You'll see that, well, unfortunately someone has to draw that, right? But you can just put these 2 images together and you can, almost like a flip book, you can infer what's happened in between. So that's how the gutters work.
I know how they work. I was just seeing how you use them.
Oh yes, I'd love it to think about the storytelling and the engagement of the reader, and showing the emotional life of the characters.
That part where like you're your mind goes where it wants to go, so telling a story is telling somebody else, your own story.
I love that. Yes. Yes. Okay.
It's fantastic, that just, I don't know, leaker, I'll figure it out.
Leaker. Yeah. Oh.
Yes, leaker.
Anyway, girl.
We have a question right
Role
now
I
in
was
front
wanting to
here.
play.
We're gonna start here and then pass that way.
Hi.
Hi.
So I was wondering if for the second play with, I'm not sure, I'm sorry, was the title of it The Magician's Magician?
And then I did open.
Okay, I thought it might be called Open. I'm sorry. For
Yeah.
some reason, I like autofilled it as The
Podcast is
Magician's
the magician's
Magicians.
magician. Yeah.
Okay, that makes more sense. But so would that be done with actual stage props of like the magic tricks, or
It'll
would
be
no?
pantomimed. Yeah. It's
Okay,
terrifying.
awesome.
And
No.
I remember when I first, I had this because I also, and to go back to the writing and how, I'm doing a concept that's theatrical and live in a sense. And so to me, and when the play is performed, and it's built this way, there's the audience member that's like, oh shit, she's talking to me. It's one of these shows. Oh my God. She's like showing me some, oh God, oh crap. And it's, and then there's the other audience member. I mean, they're all engaged, right? Because, it's lovely. But then there's the other audience members like, oh, this is fun. It's like, oh, cool. We're doing, yeah. And then it switches when the stakes and the reality of the layers of why she's there come. And so I think the pantomiming focuses, I'm always fascinated by how, just like today, there's a room of people, right? We don't all, you might know each other, but maybe you don't. And like, how do we become a collective? How does the act of the theatrical experience, no matter where you are on your journey, somehow say, this is the core, this is why we're here, and leave with that kind of belief and do something for the world, whether it's more clarity about the climate crisis and standing up for what you believe, or, for LGBTQA rights, so that pantomime allows the audience to start to see the magic. I did panic once and I started to write the magic in. I was like, oh, this is very good. And I had forgotten I had sent it to my friend who's a magician from high school. He was in Vegas, but from high school. And I was like so scared, and like he called me up, he's like, I'm crying, I read the play, it's so beautiful. And I was like, Scott, I've actually been thinking maybe we should see the magic, like maybe that's what he goes, don't you dare show the magic. And I was like, oh, if a magician's telling me that, well then it must work.
Hi.
Hi.
You talked a lot about geek culture and how that's kind of been how you love it so much. I was interested in learning like what are some like huge inspirations in your life when it comes to your playwright and anything else, because we all have to have some inspirations on what motivates us to write and what motivated us to go down the path of artistry. So I was just curious on knowing.
Yeah, there's like, there's so many, right? So I'll just give you two and they are so geeky. One, I'll start with the theater geeky thing. I was 10 and this point I was in upstate New York. So I went to see something for the first time in the round. I'd never seen that before, in Woodstock, in like an older house. And it was the story of Alan Turing. It's called Breaking the Code, and his life is told out of sequence. And I understood every part of it. And one actor played him at every age. And Alan Turing is this mathematician. It's a really incredible story. And he was part of breaking the Enigma code in World War II. And it's a very layered story. And I was so moved. I remember being young and not really understanding everything, but also understanding everything. And I was like, I want to do that. I was like, I want whatever that dynamic way of storytelling is. And then the second thing would be for the goofier thing. And it's an older film. So if you haven't seen it yet, then you're going to feel obligated to watch it. The Last Unicorn. The Last Unicorn is a great book. It's a great book. I have all the things. And that film just blew my mind, and it still does. And if I'm a little sad or pissed off, I will definitely watch her fight the Red Bull and save the unicorns from the ocean. And King Herod.
Crystal, thank you so much. Thank you all for being here. Let's have one more hand for Crystal. We don't have to wrap up, but we will kind of repair out to the vestibule there. We'll have some snacks. Crystal will hang around. You can chat and yeah, we'll just hang out for a while. Okay. Thank you all very much.